Jay-Z's career, you can look at that and say the association to Beyonce is when he started to receive the 16 17 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce, right? And you go prior to that, one.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that came in association, like you see the kids even.
50 Cent's new documentary doesn't stay quiet. It comes in loud and direct. This isn't just another celebrity story getting recycled. It's a bold strike at the hidden circle running the music industry, and it puts Jay-Z and Diddy right in the spotlight like never before. People can't stop talking about it, not just because of what's shown, but because of what's finally coming out after years of silence. For a long time, rumors floated around Diddy, Jay-Z, and the powerful figures shaping hip-hop behind closed doors. Now that silence is cracked wide open, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, the same figure linked to exposing Sean Diddy Combs' alleged issues and tied to Netflix's The Reckoning, is back again, and he's not holding anything back this time. He's digging deeper than surface-level drama and going straight into how power in hip-hop was built and who might have paid the price along the way. From Diddy's legal troubles to the untouchable image surrounding Jay-Z, this project isn't just retelling old headlines. It flips the whole narrative. With insider accounts, legal paperwork, and unfiltered commentary, 50 is breaking things down from the inside out, and it hits different. The film paints a wild picture of an industry run by a tight circle, where image was carefully built, loyalty could switch overnight, and silence had a price tag. If 50's telling it straight, then what people called success might have been planned moves all along, like a system designed to control everything behind the scenes.
Have Grammys, like they don't sing yet. They don't sing.
Right.
They don't rap yet, and they already have Grammys and shit. So it's like they give them this trophy so we secure that they're coming to the award show. It meant that much to the culture that they just gave them the things they.
It taps into one of hip-hop's most intense dynamics: 3 moguls, 1 throne. For years, fans talked about tension between 50 Cent and Jay-Z. But this documentary flips that whole idea on its head. It wasn't just competition or ego. It was a deeper fight over who controls hip-hop's story and legacy. On one side, you got 50, loud, raw, and not scared to call anyone out. A self-made force who turned hard truths into powerful moves in entertainment. On the other side stands Jay-Z, cool, calculated, and always 10 steps ahead. A businessman first, moving with strategy, building power quietly while others made noise. And right between these two styles sits Diddy, the ultimate middleman, the one who could turn a simple party into a room full of influence and deals. But in 50's version of events, Diddy wasn't just hosting the vibe. He was controlling access, deciding who gets in and who gets left out. A figure who could make or break a career. That's how the film describes it. And according to insiders, this wasn't just about talent or hustle. It was about a system that picked winners and left others in the shadows. One source even says in the film it wasn't competition, it was containment. The documentary pushes a bold idea. What looked like normal industry rivalry was actually controlled moves behind the curtain. The same names kept showing up: awards, radio, big deals, while others just faded out with no clear reason. And the twist? The film hints that some of the very figures fans looked up to might have been part of that system. One of the most intense claims in the documentary is that Jay-Z and Diddy may have been connected to a label-driven strategy to quietly hold back new East Coast talent. That claim hits hard and raises big questions. Why would that even happen? The answer, according to the film, comes down to money. By the early 2000s, New York artists were asking for huge contracts, owning their masters and calling their own shots. Meanwhile, the South was exploding. Cheaper talent, quicker production, and club hits that brought in major profits with less risk. One executive in the film explains that labels saw a chance to win bigger by shifting attention away from the East Coast scene. That meant pulling resources, shelving projects, and slowing down rising rappers who didn't match the plan. And sitting at the top of this structure, the documentary suggests, were Jay-Z and Diddy, 2 powerful figures with the reach to shape the culture and the drive to stay on top. It's a heavy theory, and it connects straight into 50 Cent's own rise, adding another layer to how his story fits into all of this. After his early mixtape buzz lit up New York, things took a sharp turn. 50 Cent was suddenly shut out. No major label in the city wanted to sign him, not even one. He had no choice but to move his grind to the West Coast, linking up with Dr. Dre and Eminem. And that's where everything finally clicked.
Why are you so on top of the business side of Jay-Z? You know what I'm saying? Some people like to just be an artist.
Yeah, I was actually forced to be an artist and a businessman because when I tried to get a deal, I couldn't get a deal, so I had to create Rockefeller Records. We actually created Rockefeller Records from nothing. And, you know, so I was forced to know both sides of the business.
In the documentary, a former label insider says it straight. They didn't want another 50 Cent. That line hits hard because it suggests this wasn't random, it was intentional. They wanted silence. That statement flips everything people thought they knew. For years, fans saw 50's rise as beating the odds. But now it raises a different angle. What if his success wasn't just a win against the system, but also a warning of what happens when someone refuses to follow the rules? And then there's the connection the documentary refuses to ignore. Jay-Z and Diddy. For a long time, they've appeared as separate powerhouses, each running their own lane, tied together only by respect and success. But 50's documentary points to something deeper beneath that surface. It hints at a quiet alliance, moves made behind closed doors, built on shared interests and unspoken understandings. Not loud, not obvious, but powerful enough to shape the direction of the entire culture. Even when Jay-Z's lawyer publicly denied any personal connection, the two were still spotted together. Exclusive parties, private industry meetings, high-profile charity galas, all while playing major roles in corporate deals that helped reshape how hip-hop makes money. Then the documentary drops one of its most uncomfortable questions yet, and it sticks with you. If Diddy's downfall runs this deep, what does that mean for the people who stood right beside it? The film points to similar allegations from 2024, where a reported victim connected both moguls to the same situation. Jay-Z brushed it off as rumor, and his legal team didn't say much. But after Diddy's 2025 conviction on charges tied to trafficking and exploitation, people started looking back at those claims with a whole new level of suspicion. Now, the documentary doesn't say Jay-Z is guilty of anything, but it does raise eyebrows about how he's remained untouched while others around him face serious consequences. Is that timing or something more calculated? Using photos, interviews, and court records, the film builds a sharp image, not just of friendship, but of strategy. It suggests a connection that looks like brotherhood on the surface, but underneath feels more like a business move between two men who knew power was bigger than just making hits. According to the documentary, it wasn't just about music, it was about controlling the narrative, shutting down opposition, and protecting each other when pressure started building. That's where things take a sharp turn into one of the most controversial ideas in the whole film, the so-called Beyoncé contract theory. Industry insiders and cultural voices featured in the documentary suggest something bold. Jay-Z's marriage to Beyoncé may not have been just about love, but also a powerful business move. A decision that changed everything at the highest level of entertainment. Before Beyoncé, Jay-Z already had respect, but his image came with layers. There was street credibility, but also past legal issues, rumors, and a reputation for being distant and calculated. Then suddenly, after the marriage, the shift was impossible to ignore. Now Jay-Z wasn't just seen as a rapper, he became a symbol of success, family, and influence. Together, he and Beyoncé turned into a global power duo, building a brand worth billions and dominating pop culture. The documentary puts it clearly. When he signed that contract, the trophies came rolling in. That line stands out because within just a few years, Jay-Z's public image leveled up in a major way. He was aligning with luxury brands, showing up at high-level political events, and stacking Grammy wins back to back. The transformation felt fast, polished, and perfectly timed, and the film makes sure you notice it. Critics in the documentary take it a step further. They argue the marriage didn't just boost Jay-Z's image, it gave it full legitimacy. By standing next to Beyoncé's clean and respected reputation, they claim he was able to move past old controversies and rebuild himself as someone almost untouchable. But not everyone is convinced by the love story. Some voices in the film suggest Beyoncé's role in Jay-Z's life may have grown into something more strategic, a kind of corporate-level alliance where image, influence, and money all mix together. It blurs the line between real connection and calculated positioning. The narrator puts it in a way that sticks. Was it romance or reinforcement? That question hangs heavy over everything, because in this world, the film suggests love and power can end up signing the same deal. Just when it feels like the documentary has pushed far enough, it shifts again, this time diving into one of Jay-Z's most personal and long-running controversies, the Rymir Satterthwaite paternity case. For over a decade, Rymir has claimed Jay-Z is his biological father. The claim has been dismissed in court, but it's never fully gone away. Now, the documentary brings it back into focus, walking through every turn in a case that just won't fade out. Rymir's godmother and legal guardian, Lily Coley, is shown not as someone chasing attention, but as a woman under pressure, someone who has spent years going up against a system much bigger than her. Through old interviews, court records, and emotional narration, the film shows Coley's claims against the New Jersey Attorney General's office. adding even more weight to a story that already feels intense and unresolved. She claims legal records were manipulated to keep Jay-Z from ever being required to take a DNA test. That's what the documentary presents as her side of the story. According to her, the courts kept stepping around the issue, pointing to lack of jurisdiction instead of giving clear answers. Even as Coley pushed forward with new appeals, petitions, and federal complaints, the film shows her efforts hitting wall after wall. The most recent filings take things even further, claiming that past rulings were twisted in a way that blocked her case from moving ahead. She also says the pressure didn't just stay in the courtroom, it hit her life hard. According to her account, liens were placed on her property. Her financial accounts were drained, and she felt pushed into silence by people with serious power and reach. In one clip, her voice shakes as she speaks, and that moment stands out, adding a heavy emotional layer to everything the documentary is putting on the table. This isn't about money anymore, it's about truth. And if truth costs me everything, then so be it. That line hits hard and sets the tone for everything that follows. The documentary doesn't try to prove guilt or innocence. It goes a different route. It asks a deeper question that sticks with you. If the system can bend this far to protect one powerful figure, what else might be hidden? 50 Cent uses this situation as a bigger symbol. He points to how wealth and influence can act like a shield, protecting those at the top while others struggle to be heard. In one voiceover, he says, "When the powerful hide behind paperwork, truth becomes the first casualty." That message lands heavy. The scene closes with a striking visual. On one side, a faded childhood photo of Ramir, and on the other, the massive empire of Jay-Z. No words, just a quiet contrast that says a lot without explaining anything. Then the documentary shifts gears, from courtroom drama to boardroom power plays. It dives into Jay-Z's billion-dollar partnership with the NFL and the reaction it sparked across Black communities. When Jay-Z stepped in to lead the league's social justice efforts after the Colin Kaepernick protest era, some saw it as a major step forward, a moment where hip-hop and Black voices finally gained influence at the highest level. But in the 50s documentary, that same deal is shown in a completely different light. It's framed as a transaction, not real change. Critics, including Dame Dash in archival clips, don't hold back. He says, "We went from kneeling to entertaining. That wasn't the movement we fought for." That quote hits with tension. The film places that criticism side by side with the NFL's flashy halftime shows, featuring major Black artists all curated under Jay-Z's Rock Nation. It creates a sharp contrast between activism and entertainment, and it leaves the audience questioning what was really gained behind the scenes. The film pairs all of this with footage of Colin Kaepernick still unsigned, still pushed out of the league. That visual alone hits hard. As one commentator says, representation without resistance isn't progress, it's performance. That line cuts deep and sets the tone for everything that follows. The documentary goes all in on how Jay-Z's connection with the NFL reshaped how people see him. It shows a shift from rebel to corporate figure, from speaking for the people to standing as a gatekeeper tied to power. And through 50's narration, the question comes in strong. When does fighting the system turn into working for it? It's a sharp take on how activism can be cleaned up, packaged, and sold back to the public, and how people who once challenged the system can slowly become part of it once real money and influence step in. This section is where things really split audiences. The documentary pulls back from Jay-Z's polished image and looks at his early days, before everything was locked in, when power was just starting to build. Former associates, promoters, and industry insiders share stories from the late 90s and early 2000s. They talk about tension, secrecy, and a presence that already felt larger than life. According to these accounts, he moved with authority even before reaching the level he holds today. One story stands out. A former club promoter in Cancun describes a heated moment at a high-end event. He says Jay-Z showed up late, brushed off the local hosts, and ignored security requests until things nearly escalated. He looked untouchable, the man says, like rules didn't matter anymore. The film also revisits long-discussed claims about avoiding DNA tests in past legal situations and creating distance from anyone seen as a threat to his image. It presents these moments as part of a bigger pattern, one that adds more layers to a story already filled with tension and unanswered questions. The documentary doesn't introduce brand new accusations, but it builds something just as powerful, a pattern. A steady theme of control, silence, and things happening behind closed doors. As 50 narrates over old footage of Jay-Z performing in the 90s, his words land heavy. Power doesn't change people, it reveals them. That line sticks. The segment closes with a chilling visual. Tabloid headlines slowly fading into polished corporate press releases. It tells a bigger story without saying too much out loud. A shift from raw beginnings to controlled narratives, where image starts to replace identity, and truth doesn't always come first. Just when it feels like everything's been exposed, 50 takes it even further. He steps back from individual names and points straight at the system itself. This part introduces what he calls the invisible hand, a quiet network of executives, radio programmers, and investors shaping what the world sees and hears. According to insiders featured in the film, nothing is random. Release dates, radio spins, award nominations. It can all be carefully planned and controlled. One anonymous source puts it blunt. If a song threatened the wrong people's profits, it disappears. If an artist gets too independent, they get labeled difficult. That statement hits with force. The documentary connects moments across different eras, showing how artists like 50 Cent, Kanye West, and Lauryn Hill faced resistance after pushing back against industry control. Through visual timelines, it builds a case that these moments weren't isolated. They were part of a larger pattern. Viewers are shown how many top-charting artists and award winners trace back to the same major corporations. A small circle with massive influence deciding what rises and what fades. 50 closes this section with a cold, direct line. It's not who raps best, it's who the system bets on. And that message leaves a strong impression. The real power in hip-hop might not sit with the artist at all. The film builds toward a powerful idea. It's not just about control, it's about the illusion of freedom itself. And as it moves into the final stretch, it shifts focus back to the people who created hip-hop from nothing. The artists, the fans, the dreamers. In interviews, younger rappers describe 50 Cent as present, reachable, and real. Someone who still connects with the streets and hasn't lost that direct link to the audience. On the other side, JayZ is shown as distant, guarded, and surrounded by layers of security, legal teams, and billion-dollar ventures. That contrast becomes the emotional core of the whole documentary. One voiceover asks a question that hits deep. In a culture built from the ground up, who really earns loyalty? The one people can reach or the one they can only watch from a distance? The film doesn't hand out a clean answer. Instead, it leaves viewers thinking hard about what hip-hop has turned into. Is it still a voice for the people, or has it become something shaped by corporate power? 50's final words in this section land heavy and quiet. Silence protects the powerful, but voice, even when it's messy, protects the culture. That message sticks long after it's said. Then the screen fades to black, and his voice cuts through one more time. Diddy wasn't the end. He was the beginning. That line feels like a warning. The documentary closes by hinting at what's next, a possible follow-up that could dig even deeper into Jay-Z's empire. It teases sealed documents, quiet settlements, and stories that haven't fully come to light. As 50 stands in front of a wall covered in headlines and court files, he leaves it with one final line that echoes, "The truth don't expire." It just waits for someone fearless enough to tell it. The credits start rolling, and Many Men hits, but this time it's remixed with intense clips of courtroom reporters, flashing cameras, and non-stop chaos on screen. Then everything slows down, and one bold message appears: to be continued. That moment feels heavy. From Diddy's conviction to the questions surrounding Jay-Z and alleged cover-ups, 50 Cent's documentary leaves everything wide open. It pushes one big question: was success in hip-hop truly earned, or was it carefully engineered behind the scenes? That thought sticks with you long after it ends. Now it's your turn. What do you think about everything revealed in this documentary? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be heard. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to Holly Hype TV, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs to see it. This conversation is far from over.